What is one secret you have never told your parents and still don't plan on telling? I stole my mom's earrings to give to my girlfriend in 3rd grade. She never found them. She probably didn't think to look for them on a little girl. Especially because /u/Superstone 412 was 38 at the time. The time I found their home movie when I was looking for something to enjoy alone. Open bracket. Sounds like you did find something to enjoy alone. It's a family film, so it'd be more suited to him watching it with his parents together. How I Met Your Brother. My grandmother had a collection of fairly expensive rings, and when she died she left one to every woman in the family. I was 13 and told not to wear mine out of the house because it was a bit loose on me. I did and lost it within a month of her death. Every now and then my mom asks about it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's in a box in one of my drawers. I don't wear it because I don't want to lose it. Or your mom found it and is waiting for you to confess. Moms totally do shit like that. When I was little I was interested in family genealogy. I was like 10 at the time, but I went to my grandparents and asked them where their ancestors were from out of pure curiosity. Well, my grandmother gave me a piece of paper with a fairly detailed family history going back a few generations. I brought it home and set it in a drawer. After a month or two I lost interest in the whole thing as it was almost impossible to find any information on my family. I'm from Africa, not many records. Well, one day my parents suddenly wanted the sheet my grandma made, and so I went to my drawer to get it and could not find it for the life of me. I fessed up immediately and told them I lost it and can't seem to find it. They were pissed. They yelled at me and told me I was irresponsible and that my grandma went through a lot of work to make it. For years it came up and they always yelled at me for it. This was actually a pretty frequent thing and was used as an example of how irresponsible I could be. But then one day, when I was like 15, it somehow came up that my mom had taken the paper in the first place and that's why I couldn't find it. She literally had it the whole time. I hate parents that find stuff and wait for a confession. It's a little different in this case, but I still get really mad thinking about it. Since this blew up a lot more than I thought it would, I would like to point out that my mom was generally a very good parent. I feel like at some point most parents make mistakes and screw up. This happens to be one of my mom's biggest ones. My sister had an abusive boyfriend. I found out one day from a mutual friend, her roommate, that was worried about her and came to tell me. I asked her about it, she denied it. She had marks she made up excuse for. She said she fell at the gym. So that night I decided I would have a talk with this asshole. By talk I mean scare the living shit out of him with a bat. What I did not know was that my dad heard me and friend talk about it in the garage. I got to the apartment my sister and our mutual friend share to find my father had beaten up abusive asshole to a pulp with a coffee mug. Guy was cut all over the face and crying. I helped dad clean up the place with the roommate. The three of us never told my sister what my dad did. The guy called her up and broke up with her. We never saw him again. Later she confessed he abused her, but taught her threats of her calling the cops pushed and got him away. Your dad beat him up with goddamn coffee mug? Yup. Old man always drank decaf, imagine if not. When I was 7 my mother broke a vase. I pretended to be the guilty just because I knew my dad would be angry with my mom and do shit. My mom used to yell at me and my siblings. Most of the time things got physical and that sucked. When I was little, my grandpa was watching me and my brother. We fell over and broke my sister's violin. My grandpa told my mom that he accidentally sat on it. I didn't understand why until I learned how abusive my mom was. I love your grandpa. That the month I was living a month in Spain was actually spent in jail. I had friends to post fake Instagram pictures for me too. Wow, would never expect such a response. Since so many of you have been asking, here's some more info. I was sentenced to 1 month for DUI and the month I was supposed to do my sentence happened to be at the same time as I was actually going to Spain for a month. So instead of traveling to Spain, I went to jail. No questions ever asked from my family. Now, I knew my friends would notice, so I had to tell them, and they were the best, and helped me keeping this a secret. This was the first, and last, time I had ever been into any trouble. Most awkward bit was to figure out excuses for not driving the following year. Him from Norway BTW. So sorry if I messed up prison/jail. Used to work in a prison. This happens all the fucking time. So many parents and surely they'd get found out. Even a few weeks in Scotland is plenty of time. When my dad and I lived with his then fiance years ago, her oldest daughter and I used to fool around. So they did or did not get married? If so, how's the relationship with the daughter nowadays? They ended up splitting, but have recently started seeing each other again. After they split we never really talked, since outside of teenage hormones we were like oil and water personality wise. But she overdosed on heroin a few years back, so our secret is left with just me. My parents are divorced, and my mum used to tell me to ask my dad for money, for my hobbies, activities, etc. I never told her I stopped doing that when I was 15, because I was told that I was the reason his wife couldn't buy herself anything nice. It was / all complete and utter bullshit. That kind of shit sucks. My mom received child support from my dad, even though they had split custody, and she used to tell me that he ought to pay more for us kids, school supplies, clothing, etc., while she didn't work and use the money to pay rent and go out to eat. I stole my mom's credit card when I was 13 to pay for a RuneScape membership. Grew up with parents who were divorced. Lived with my mom and stepdad. Dad was a crack/cokehead, but took me every few weekends and I loved him very much still. At 14 my stepdad was killed, and my mom became an absent closet alcoholic. My dad got his shit together for me, so he spent 2 years in a live-in rehabilitation home, and my mom left me alone in our family home from ages 14 to 16 to pursue a new relationship in a town hours away. I kept them up to date on my good grades and fun extracurricular sports and whatnot, but I was lying. I fell into hard drugs and became addicted to coke and mad and alcohol. I stole food so I could eat, but I also stole clothes and makeup and alcohol and everything else I wanted solely because I wanted it. I tried to kill myself multiple times, all in under 2 years. I don't plan on telling either of them that. You better now though. Much thank you. As an adult I was visiting my mom. She was divorced from her second husband, and at the time she had a roommate. One day they were at work and I answered the phone in my mom's bedroom, since it was the closest phone to me at the time. I needed to take a message, and opened the top drawer of the nightstand on instinct, to find a piece of paper. Big mistake. Right on top was a double-sided dildo, a Hustler magazine on top of a stack of Hustlers, and a love letter to her roommate. Trust me when I say that I only read the first sentence or so, and put it back in the drawer. Here we are almost 20 years later, lives with a different woman now. She's never come out of the closet. I've never outed her and never will. It's her decision. I love her no matter what, and I think I'll call her today, because it's been a couple weeks. I had sex with my cousin when we were in high school. Twice. Fact edit. I actually went to high school 4 times. Freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years. It was very much consensual. It occurred after no longer being able to ignore sexual tension while hanging out together. Just the two of us. Great friendship. Eventually got aroused. We lived under the same roof for a couple of years. Le cousins danger rooks. Haha, let's just start kissing to freak them out. It would be hilarious. Why would that be funny? How you know? I didn't slip in the shower. My girlfriend fell through the wall when I was hanging her. Edit. Banging. That's what did you do with the body? Banged it. Right through the wall. Amazing how one letter can change humpy fun time into murder.